Everything you thought you knew about yourself just stopped making sense. You wake up one day and nothing feels real anymore. The goals you chased, they feel empty now. The beliefs you built your entire life around, they've collapsed. And the worst part is, you have no idea why this is happening. You're not depressed exactly, you're not broken, but something deep inside you is falling apart and you can't stop it. This is what they call the dark night of the soul. And if you're going through it right now, you need to hear this. This isn't a breakdown. It's not failure. And you're not losing your mind. What's happening to you is one of the most misunderstood psychological and spiritual experiences a person can go through. It's been written about for hundreds of years. It's been experienced by monks, by mystics, by regular people who thought they had it all figured out. And now it's happening to you. So let's talk about what this really is, why it happens, and what you need to understand to make it through to the other side. Because here's what no one tells you. The dark night of the soul is not random. It's not punishment. It's a transformation, and the only way out is through. Let me paint you a picture of what this looks like. You're doing everything right. You have a job, relationships, maybe even success by normal standards. On paper, your life looks fine, maybe even good. But inside, something shifted. And now nothing feels like it used to. You wake up and feel this heavy emptiness in your chest. Not sadness exactly, just nothing. Like someone turned off the lights inside you and you were sitting in the dark wondering when they'll come back on. You start asking questions you never asked before. What's the point of any of this? Why am I even here? What does any of this mean? And the answers you used to have, the ones that worked before, they don't work anymore. They feel hollow, fake, like you've been reading from a script your whole life and suddenly you forgot your lines. This is where the dark night begins, with a collapse. Not of your external life, but of your internal world. The meaning you gave to everything, the identity you built, the beliefs you held onto, they all start crumbling. And you're left standing in the rubble wondering what the hell just happened. Sometimes it starts with a trigger, a loss, a breakup, a death, a failure. Something big enough to shake the foundation of who you thought you were. But here's the strange part. Sometimes it doesn't start with anything at all. Sometimes it hits you right when everything should be fine. You've achieved the things you wanted. You've checked the boxes. And yet you feel more lost than ever. That's because the dark night of the soul isn't about what's happening outside of you. It's about what's happening inside. The term itself comes from a 16th century Spanish mystic named Saint John of the Cross. He was a monk. He wrote a poem describing this exact experience, a spiritual journey through darkness towards something he called union with God. But you don't have to be religious to understand what he was talking about. What Saint John described was a process of purification. A stripping away of everything false so that something true could emerge. He talked about two phases. The first was the dark night of the senses. This is when you lose interest in the things that used to bring you pleasure. Food doesn't taste the same. Activities feel pointless. Nothing excites you anymore. Your senses go dull. The second phase, the dark night of the spirit, goes even deeper. This is when your entire sense of self starts to dissolve. Your beliefs, your identity, your understanding of reality, all of it gets pulled out from under you. And you're left in what feels like total spiritual emptiness. Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds like depression. And you're right, it does. The symptoms overlap. The sadness, the hopelessness, the loss of meaning. But here's the difference. Depression is often rooted in the brain, in neurotransmitters, in patterns of thought that loop on themselves. The dark night of the soul is something else. It's a spiritual crisis, an existential crisis. It's not that your brain is malfunctioning, it's that your soul is trying to wake up. And the only way it knows how to do that is to tear down everything you thought you were. Psychiatrists who study this make an important distinction. They talk about something called demoralization. It's a loss of meaning and purpose, a feeling of being trapped with no way forward. And while depression can happen alongside a dark night, the dark night itself is not a mental illness. It's a process. a painful, brutal, necessary process of transformation. And the people who go through it and come out the other side, they're not the same. They're more awake, more real, more connected to something deeper than the stories their ego told them. So what does this actually feel like when you're in it? Let's get specific. Because if you're going through this, you need to know you're not alone. You need to know these symptoms are real and they've been documented for centuries. You feel a deep, aching sadness that seems to have no cause. It's not about anything specific. It's about everything. About life itself, you look around and you just feel heavy. Like the weight of existence is pressing down on you and you don't know how to carry it anymore. You feel disconnected from other people, from yourself, from everything. It's like you're watching your life happen from behind a thick pane of glass. You're there, but you're not there. You go through the motions, but nothing feels real. Nothing touches you the way it used to. You crave something you can't name. There's this longing inside you, a homesickness for a place you've never been. You want to go back to something, but you don't know what. You just know that wherever you are right now, it's not where you're supposed to be. You question everything. Your beliefs, your values, your purpose, your entire understanding of the world. Things that used to make perfect sense now feel like lies. You start pulling at the threads of your own reality and watching it unravel. And the more it unravels, the more lost you feel. You feel spiritually empty, like there's a void inside you where something used to be. If you were religious, you might feel abandoned by God. If you weren't, you might just feel abandoned by life itself. Either way, there's this crushing sense of aloneness. Like you're drifting in space with no ground beneath you. Your body feels it too. You're exhausted. Not the kind of tired that sleep fixes. This is bone deep, soul deep. You might have trouble sleeping, or you might sleep too much and still wake up drained. Your appetite changes. You get headaches, body aches, this general sense of physical discomfort that doesn't have a clear cause. Your nervous system is recalibrating and it hurts. And here's one of the strangest parts. You become hyper-aware of suffering. Not just yours, but everyone's. You watch the news and you feel the weight of it. You see people struggling and it breaks something open in you. You realize how fragile everything is. How much pain there is in the world. And it's overwhelming because you can't unsee it. You can't go back to not feeling it. These are the signs, the omens as some call them. And if you're experiencing most of these, you're not broken. You're in the middle of a dark night, and that means something in you is trying to die so something else can be born. Let's talk about what's actually dying, because this is where it gets real. When people talk about the dark night of the soul, they often use this phrase, ego death. And I know that sounds abstract, but stay with me because this is the core of what's happening. Your ego is not your enemy. It's the part of you that helps you navigate the world. It's your sense of self, the story you tell about who you are, your name, your roles, your achievements, your beliefs. It's the identity you've built over a lifetime. And for most of your life, that identity worked. It helped you function. It helped you survive. But here's the thing, it's also construction. It's not the real you. It's a mask you've been wearing for so long that you forgot it was a mask, and the dark night, it rips that mask off. Sometimes gently, but usually not. Usually it tears it off in pieces, and it hurts like hell because you think that mask is you. You think if that goes away, you go away. But that's the illusion. What's dying is not you. What's dying is the false version of you. The one that was built to please others, to achieve goals, to fit into boxes that were never meant to hold you. St. John of the Cross called this purification. Carl Jung called it individuation. Eckhart Tolle calls it the collapse of the mind made meaning. Different words, same process. You're being emptied out so you can be filled with something real. You're being stripped down so you can see what's actually underneath all the layers. And this is why it feels like death. Because in a way it is. The person you thought you were is dissolving. The life you thought you understood is falling apart. And there's a period, sometimes weeks, sometimes months, sometimes years, where you're in between. You're not who you were, but you're not yet who you're becoming. You're in the void. the gap, the darkness. And it's terrifying because humans are not comfortable with unknowing. We want answers. We want certainty. We want to know we're going to be okay. And the dark night offers none of that. It just asks you to sit in the not knowing and trust that something is happening even when you can't see it. This is the deepest point, the place where you feel like you can't go on, where you wonder if it will ever end, where you're so tired of the pain that you just want it to stop any way it can stop. And this is also the most dangerous point because this is where people give up. They numb out with substances, with distractions, with anything that will make them not feel this. Or worse, they start to believe that this darkness is all there is. But here's what you need to understand. This is not the end. This is the turning point. Because when you're at the bottom, when everything has been stripped away, when there's nothing left to lose, that's when the real work begins. That's when you stop fighting it. That's when you stop trying to go back to who you were. And that's when something new starts to emerge. What emerges is not something you create. It's something you uncover. It's the part of you that was always there but got buried under all the conditioning, all the expectations, all the fear. Some people call it the true self. Some call it the soul. Some call it consciousness. The name doesn't matter. What matters is that it's real in a way that the ego never was. It's not performance. It's not pretending. It's just you, raw, honest, whole. And when you start to touch that, even for a moment, everything shifts. Life starts to have meaning again. But it's not the old meaning. It's not the meaning you were taught or the meaning you constructed. It's a deeper meaning that doesn't need to be explained or justified. It just is. You start to feel connected again. Not to the illusions, but to something real, to yourself, to life, to the mystery of being alive. This emergence doesn't happen all at once. It's gradual. You have days where you feel a little lighter, where you catch a glimpse of something beautiful and it actually touches you, where you laugh and it feels genuine. And then you have days where you fall back into the darkness and wonder if you imagined the whole thing. But slowly, slowly, the light starts to outweigh the dark. The new self starts to stabilize. And you realize you're not the same person who entered this. You can't be. That person doesn't exist anymore. You see the world differently now. You're not naive anymore, but you're not cynical either. You're awake. You see through the games people play, the masks they wear, because you wore them too and you know what's underneath. You're more patient, more compassionate, because you've suffered. You've been to the edge and you've come back, and that changes you. It has to. You stop living for external validation. You stop trying to prove yourself. You stop chasing things that don't matter because you know now what actually matters. Connection, presence, truth. You learn to trust yourself in a way you never did before. Not the ego's certainty, but something quieter, deeper, an inner knowing that doesn't need to shout. And here's the beautiful part. The thing that makes all of this worth it. You become free. Not free from pain because pain is part of being human, but free from the prison of your own making, free from the need to be anyone other than who you are, free from the fear that kept you small. And that freedom, it's not something you can buy or achieve or earn. It's something you discover when you stop running from yourself and finally turn around and look. The dark night of the soul is not a punishment. It's an invitation. An invitation to let go of everything that isn't you so you can remember everything that is. It's brutal. It's lonely. It's one of the hardest things a human being can go through. But it's also one of the most sacred because it's the journey home. Home to yourself. Home to truth. Home to the life you were always meant to live. If you're in it right now, I want you to hear this. You're not broken. You're not failing. You're transforming. And transformation is messy. It's painful. It doesn't follow a timeline, but it's real. And you will come through this not as who you were, as who you actually are. And that person, that real, awake, whole version of you, they're worth every bit of darkness you're walking through right now. Don't try to fix it. Don't try to rush it. Just be with it. Feel it. Let it move through you. Get support if you need it. Talk to people who understand. Rest more than you think you need to. Be gentle with yourself. And trust that even though you can't see it yet, something profound is happening. Your soul is waking up. And the world needs you awake. This is your dark night. And on the other side of it is your dawn. If this helped, hit that subscribe button.